given me the courage and the strength I need. Please believe that it's true. Babe, I love you.
Babe, that is Styx. It's Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We got another interesting show. I got 3 really awesome techniques that are going to help you speed up your manifestation, whatever it is. Whatever you're trying to create in your life, whatever you're trying to have more of, whatever you're trying to manifest, as I like to call it. Be it a person, be it a new job, right? A house, a car, money, whatever. 3 really awesome techniques that'll make a big difference in how you go about doing that. And it will truly speed up the process. And here, the concepts they'll make sense here in a second. First one's the slide technique, as it's been called, or kind of like a photo, if you will. But what essentially you're doing is you're creating like a scene, and it's from your vantage point, right? So like imagine if you close your eyes for a second, you're imagining like what you'd almost see on a movie screen, except it's out of your own eyes. It's your own perspective, right? But it's kind of how you see just generally. So what the slide is you basically paint this picture and you create the detail of it. You create the scene of it. Some scene of you maybe in your new car, a scene maybe in your new job, a scene of you maybe with your specific person, a scene maybe, the marriage or whatever, right? And you imagine that scene. And every day you imagine it again and you imagine it and you try to make it brighter, if you will. You try to add some additional detail. You try to give it a little extra oomph, if you will, to try to get it as clear as possible. So it's this constant working on it aspect. And then as often as you can, this is kind of where that living in the end kind of concept sort of, it's like a different way to do it, but it's in that same genre. What you try to do is like maybe when you're walking into a building, you sort of imagine that scene. Like this is, like you just find different places to make it real or to remind yourself of it or to pop it back into your focus, your perspective. You're essentially creating this wonderful slide that you can drop in random places when you've got a moment and you just have a second where you can think of something cool. Like maybe you're about to walk into the post office and you want to just like, here's that scene of them walking down the aisle to me or whatever. It's that way to kind of reinforce that mental construct over and over and over and over throughout the day. And as I've talked about many a time, the really important parts of this whole manifesting process isn't just really that 5 minutes in the morning and the 5 minutes at night before you go to bed of imagining being with them and them holding you or whatever, or your new car or new whatever, but it's all the little moments during the day I really believe are the ones that win out in the end because there's so many more of them. So here's a way to fill some of those in with a really good positive kind of scene, your scene, your specific somebody, your slide. It's like you're putting it in the slide projector or, you're clicking the picture on your camera and then you're just trying to fine tune it. Maybe you're working on the contrast and the color, right? Like you're trying to dial in this perfect picture so you can use it to go forward. Another great thing, and this is a limitation that many of us do, and we do it accidentally. We don't realize we're doing it. So this is one of those things where if you kind of start paying attention to the fact that you're sort of doing this, that this capacity is within you and you need to catch yourself when you do it, you'll go a long way in resolving this issue and it'll make a big difference. Self-image. What most of us do is we project out our self-image. Now, one, the way that kind of interacts too is people will tend to experience you from that standpoint. They'll kind of interact with you from this version of yourself that you project out. It's sort of the part that's felt amongst other people. But the other part of self-image that seems to get many of us in a bit of a bind is maybe some of us are coming from a place where maybe we're trying to make more money, right? And maybe currently, maybe we make $50,000 a year, right? Maybe that's just what we make. And so we're trying to get into a job where maybe we're making $75,000, $80,000, $85,000 a year. And it's a jump, and it is a big bit of a leap, and sometimes there's some kind of concerns and nervousness and things that go along with that. And what a lot of us tend to do is we revert back to that person that makes $50,000 a year. We're comfortable there. We can imagine the surroundings there. It's what we're used to. And so a lot of times we forget and just go, it's too hard, or it's just easier to fall back and go, this is what I do. Or we got to remember that expansion is constantly thinking outside of where we currently are, thinking as a better form of ourselves, a higher version of ourselves, a version of ourselves that's worth significantly more money, a version of ourselves that's worth this wonderful love experience that we've got waiting for us, and in this family that we plan on having with whoever, or this new car that we'd like to own, or this new boat, or this new job, whatever. All these things are about our self-image, about the fact that we really, truly need to believe we're worthy of it. And then on top of that, project that out. And then also on top of that, make sure we don't allow ourselves to revert back to the easy us, the way we've been in the past. Because, again, we wouldn't be trying to create something different if what we had currently is sufficient, right? If we're happy with where we're at right now, we're probably not trying all that hard to make it different. So again, if we're trying to get something we don't currently have, we got to stop thinking like we currently do and start thinking expanded like what we're planning on being. That is where we're going to get that new sort of oomph, if you will. And finally, this is a really good way to kind of get yourself on a path of success just in general. But when it comes to manifesting, you can kind of, this is sort of that living in the end concept as well to a degree. And the technique's kind of been called pre-paving is one way, or really planning. You know, have a plan. Have about 3 things, 5 things tomorrow that you plan on before you go to bed. Things that you think about. Okay, here's what I want to do. Here's the plans. Here's the direction I'm trying to go in my life. Here's some things that I'd like to happen or like to see happen, and I want to see these things happen tomorrow, so I'm going to take care of X, Y, and Z. So if I'm trying to get a new job, maybe it's getting online and getting my resume submitted. Maybe I got to dial in my resume a little bit. Maybe I needed to send it to a friend to get them to take a look at it. If it's the case of a relationship, maybe it's time that I maybe do try a text message. Maybe it's been a while, we haven't. I try to send something sweet. So tomorrow I'm going to try to do that. I'll try to craft it up in a way that really I think will get them in the right place, but won't necessarily upset them, whatever the case is there. Or maybe you can just start maybe thinking about like the wedding dress that you want to have, like already starting to plan that. Maybe start to think about places that you'd like to have it. You know, start to plan out things, start to kind of think ahead, start to plan it like it's coming, even if it's not here yet. When you go out and start planning for it like it is coming, like it is here, basically, it is that living in the end concept. It is that aspect of being what you seek to be right now. It's that making room in the closet that I've said in the past shows, like, I don't know, months ago probably. It's that same concept. It's that making plans that require them. Someone had mentioned one time cooking dinner and then dishing it up for them like they were going to be there. I think someone else chimed in and basically said, no, basically what they mean is like you can set a plate for them, but don't be like wasting food. That's silly. Like if they're not sitting there, there is no reason to dish food onto a plate for an imaginary person. That's ridiculous. Putting a plate there in a place setting, yeah, that's great because you've got that plan. You're thinking, yeah, he's going to be sitting there or she's going to be sitting there with me at some point, you know, and put a glass there, that's fine, but don't be filling it up. I mean, you can put water in it, I guess, but don't be like pouring a glass of wine for him. That's silly. Again, so let's be intelligent about it. You're not trying to just, like if you're trying to manifest more money, you don't just go out and start blowing money and put yourself in debt just to try to demonstrate to the universe, hey, I'm all about abundance. I'm going to spend it all like it's going out of style. You just bring it back. Again, you start to put yourself in odd situations when you do that weird energy dynamic. So again, keep it real, plan it out. Start looking at the things you're going to buy. Start looking at it, you're like, okay, and start creating that energy and get it attracted to you. And when you start doing things like that, yes, you start bringing that. Not only do you start bringing that towards you, but on top of that, you expand to it as well. You start realizing that this is a life that I'm going to have experiencing this thing I'm trying to manifest, be it your relationship. Or I'm going to live in a life where I'm going to be living with so-and-so, or I'm going to be in a life where I'm going to be making 6 figures, 7 figures in my income. I'm going to be living in a life where I'm living on a yacht half the year because I love the ocean so much and I can work from that and I got a satellite phone or whatever. I don't know, whatever the heck they do now to make it happen. I'm sure there's some satellite technology. Again, whatever you're trying to manifest, live in that now, live in that reality, work towards it, have a game plan that get you heading in that direction. And don't just kind of wait for everything. I know a lot of people have this thing where they just kind of want to wait for it to fall in your lap. And frankly, there's a bit of action that has to happen. I think there's confusion when a lot of times when people don't pick the fruit before it's ripe or whatever. Like, again, I still go back to, how do you know when it's ripe then? Because that's still like, waiting for something to fall off the vine is definitely not going to necessarily work, because at that point it's more or less withered. You should have picked it already. So we've got to make sure that there's some action in our life too. So plan some of that into your life. Definitely have that picture, that image that you can go to frequently, because you keep reminding yourself that. It keeps making it real, keeps bringing it back into your conscious self, keeps kind of reminding you, this is why I'm doing this, right? This is why I'm going through what I'm going through. If it's the person, or for more money, or for a car, or for whatever, this is why I'm doing these efforts, because of this image. So again, hopefully all this stuff makes a difference. Going out with a great song by a person you may have heard of, some guy that was from Tennessee, I believe it was Nashville. Yeah, I went by the name of Elvis. Some people called him the King. I don't know. Suspicious Minds. It's Dan Radio Style.